Thank you. Well, the EITI now has 54 members across the world. 28 of those are on the African continent. We exist to advance good governance in the oil, gas and mining sectors. Ghana has been a member since 2008, so over 15 years, and has been steadily progressing on the EITI. It's made a huge contribution to promoting public understanding and debate about the extractive sector, mining as well as oil and gas. The Ghana EITI makes great efforts to use its reporting on the sector to reach many people who are interested in learning more about this huge natural resource available to the country, because the EITI is all around ensuring that a country's natural resources benefits its citizens. We conduct a periodic assessment of how well a country is doing. The last one we conducted was 2024. It's on our website, and it found significant progress in a number of areas, scoring particularly well on a set of criteria about stakeholder engagement. Now, one of the big accomplishments in Ghana has been the disclosure of virtually all contracts entered into by government with private companies. These can now be accessed online and accessible and visible to all citizens. So that's a real step forward. A second achievement is the creation of a beneficial ownership transparency register, which collects information about the real owners of companies, in particular in the mining sector. This can be used to identify those who are seeking licenses in the mining sector, a particularly important issue now in Ghana with so much at stake in that sector, the need for understanding who really does own this resource. And then beyond that, Ghana has a very vibrant multi-stakeholder group bringing together government, companies and civil society to discuss EITI data and reporting, how it can be used to inform policy decisions and inform local communities about the benefits arising from the sector through investment at the local level. As with any good thing, Ghana still has opportunities to progress in some areas. And in particular, we're looking for ways in which our data can help inform understanding about the artisanal sector, which is so much of a focus on the Mining in Motion Summit event that I'm attending. In particular, contributing to knowledge about production and exports in the artisanal sector, artisanal mining sector. There are a few areas where we believe further progress could be made. In particular, there's some resource-backed loans provided from foreign companies and governments, which are not yet fully disclosed in the public domain. And we're encouraging the government to complete its fantastic progress on contract disclosure to get that information out. Secondly, now that there is a beneficial ownership register, for the appropriate authorities, the registrar of companies, to use that data to then demonstrate who actually owns the businesses who are competing for licenses. So understanding who actually owns the companies, to identify if there's any politically exposed persons involved in the application process. And then finally, we also want to see progress and clarity on how revenues are publicly disclosed, particularly around the oil and gas sector through GMPC, which is very actively working on the recommendations that were put out in the 2024 validation. Okay. So I mentioned that 28 countries in the continent are members. We continuously have more interest from countries that want to join the EITI to be able to attract investment in the sector. How do mining-rich countries in the continent benefit from that considerable resource at their disposal? How can it generate revenues that can in turn be invested in essential public services, schools, hospitals, and also for strengthening infrastructure? That's the key for sustained development from the sector. So we very much hope that our work can contribute to that by identifying what revenues are coming from the sector, how revenues can be reinvested not only in public services, but also upstream development and downstream development. So value addition through, for example, at its most direct, smelting of ores, production facilities using the metals derived from the ores. Huge opportunities to do more work there, again, which we'll be using some of our data to track. The other demand we see is, of course, every government in the region is trying to attract foreign investment. Our data can give investors confidence that Africa is a place to invest, provided that they respect the laws of the land and follow good practices like those outlined in the EITI standard, which is our reporting mechanism for all governments that are members of EITI to sign up to and report progress on. Well, this is a big challenge because partly there's a fundamental lack of data very often about not only the formal production of minerals from mines, but their export. One of the areas here that's most important is commodity trading. And the EITI now has several provisions, requirements around making commodity trading more transparent, with the support of those companies that are members of the EITI and trading in commodities. So helping those companies share data about what has been produced, what's been exported, what's the value of exports, fundamentally important information around secure supply chains. In terms of traceability, some of the biggest challenges lie there in the artisanal sector, where often the data is opaque, incomplete. So data and information about that sector is actually fundamental. But within that sector, there's also huge scope, as we have seen from Tanzania, for formalization. Tanzania has probably gone furthest in the African continent about looking for ways to recognize and formalize the sector by creating proper channels for the sales of their production, but investing in the capacity of their workforce, creating market opportunities for small-scale producers to take them outside the realm of illegality. And the final point I would make is that I served on the UN Secretary General's panel on critical energy transition minerals, and one of the key recommendations for the Secretary General was about enhancing mechanisms for improving the traceability and the transparency of raw materials trade in the African continent. And this has particular relevance for the central parts of Africa, the Great Lakes region, where there is so much opaqueness about production and export flows.